Tom was a young man who lived a quiet life in the small town of Willow Creek. He was not rich and he had no expensive possessions, but he loved nature and enjoyed the simple things in life. Every morning he would wake up early, stretch, and take Max, his loyal dog, for a long walk through the nearby hills. Tom loved these walks because they allowed him to feel free. He often thought about how calm the world felt when he was far from crowded streets and noisy buildings. Max, a small brown dog with curious eyes, always stayed close to Tom, running ahead to explore and then coming back with a happy wag of his tail. Tom worked as a guide at a local hiking club, taking tourists and school groups to explore the forests around Willow Creek. His job did not pay much, but it allowed him to spend time in the open air, which was worth more than money to him. Despite his humble life, Tom often dreamed about living in a bigger house, having enough money to fix his cabin, and maybe even traveling to places he had only read about in books. Yet he knew dreams alone did not fill the stomach or pay bills. Life was simple, and he had accepted that with a quiet smile. One rainy morning, as Tom drank his tea by the small wooden table in his cabin, a letter arrived. The envelope was thick and had a strange official stamp. Tom frowned as he picked it up. He was not expecting any letters. With careful fingers, he opened it. His eyes widened as he read the first few lines. A distant relative, someone he had never met or even heard of, had passed away. The letter explained that this relative had left him a property, a junk lot on the outskirts of Willow Creek. Tom blinked several times. A junk lot sounded useless. He imagined heaps of old cars, broken chairs, rusty bicycles, and piles of metal. It did not seem like the kind of inheritance that could change his life. Yet the letter was clear. The property was now his, and he had the right to claim it. Curiosity and a hint of hope filled him. Maybe the lot had some hidden value, something he could sell or use. He decided he would go and see it the next morning. Max barked as if he understood the excitement in Tom's mind. Tom patted him on the head. "Don't get your hopes too high, Max. It might be just a lot full of junk." The next day, Tom and Max walked to the junk lot. The path was uneven and overgrown, but Tom had walked through tougher trails during his hikes. When he finally reached the lot, he stopped in surprise. The place was bigger than he imagined. Old cars were stacked like mountains, rusty appliances leaned against each other, and piles of wood and metal filled every corner. A few trees grew in random places, adding a touch of green to the otherwise gray and brown scene. Tom took a deep breath. The lot smelled of rust, dirt, and old wood. He stepped carefully, avoiding broken glass and nails that stuck out from old furniture. Max ran ahead, sniffing every corner, jumping over debris and occasionally barking at something that caught his attention. Tom shook his head. "This is going to be a lot of work," he muttered. He felt both overwhelmed and curious. He could see a few things in the lot that might have some value if cleaned properly, but it was hard to imagine making money here. For the next few hours, Tom walked around the lot, inspecting it carefully. He noticed some old cars that might be repairable, stacks of metal sheets and crates that seemed to have been forgotten for years. The thought of selling anything seemed tiring, but a small spark of hope lit in his mind. Perhaps this junk lot could help him improve his life. As the sun moved higher in the sky, Max suddenly stopped near an old wooden shed at the back of the lot. His tail wagged quickly and he barked sharply. Tom looked at him, curious. The shed looked small and unassuming, covered with dust and cobwebs. Tom approached carefully. The door was old and heavy, but he managed to push it open. Inside, the shed was dark, but sunlight filtered in through cracks in the wooden walls. There were old boxes, empty bottles, and broken tools scattered across the floor. Max ran to a corner and started digging near the base of the wall. Tom laughed. "What are you doing, Max? You are going to make a bigger mess than this place already has." But Max did not stop. His nose touched something hard buried under dirt and dust. Tom knelt down to see what it was. He brushed away the soil and dirt, revealing a small metal box. It was old and covered in rust, but it had a latch that looked intact. Tom's heart started beating faster. He lifted the box carefully and opened it. Inside, he found stacks of papers, a few old coins, and a strange notebook with yellowed pages. He did not understand what he was looking at, but something about the notebook made him feel that this was not ordinary junk. He flipped through the pages and saw drawings, numbers, and strange markings. Tom realized it might be a kind of map or record left by someone long ago. Max barked again, as if urging him to continue. Tom spent the next hour exploring the shed and the lot with more attention. He found more boxes, old tools, and bits of metal, but nothing else as interesting as the first box. He wondered about the person who had left these things behind. Who were they? Why had they kept such items hidden in a junk lot? Questions ran through Tom's mind, but the answers seemed far away. By the time the sun started to set, Tom felt tired but excited. He carried the metal box home, careful not to spill anything. Max followed closely, his tail wagging, looking proud of the discovery he had made. At home, Tom cleaned the box and its contents. He studied the notebook carefully. The drawings seemed to show places on the junk lot and symbols that he did not understand yet. Tom felt a strange connection to the items, as if they were waiting for him to find them. That night, Tom could not sleep. He kept thinking about the metal box, the notebook, and Max's excitement. He wondered if this junk lot was really worthless, or if it was hiding something much bigger than he could imagine. For the first time in years, Tom felt a rush of hope and curiosity. Life that had been simple and quiet was suddenly full of mystery and possibility. The next morning, Tom decided he would explore the lot more carefully. He would follow the hints in the notebook, trust Max's instincts, and see if there was more to discover. Tom did not know what lay ahead, but he felt ready. He had his loyal dog, his curiosity, and a sense that something extraordinary was waiting in the junk lot that seemed worthless to everyone else. Tom's journey had just begun. The junk lot, which seemed like a pile of useless metal and old furniture, was about to reveal secrets that would change his life forever. And Max, with his keen nose and unshakable energy, would be the first to lead him toward a discovery beyond anything Tom had ever imagined. The night was quiet, but Tom's mind was alive with ideas. He had never expected an inheritance to be exciting, yet here he was, holding a metal box, a notebook, and a sense of wonder he had not felt in years. Tomorrow he would start searching the lot with purpose. Something told him that this place, full of rust and dust, was hiding a secret far greater than he could guess. For Tom and Max, the adventure was only beginning. The next morning, the sun rose slowly over Willow Creek, casting warm golden light across Tom's small cabin. Tom woke up early, filled with excitement and curiosity. Max was already awake, wagging his tail and stretching happily by the door. Tom smiled. He knew today would be different. After a quick breakfast, Tom grabbed the metal box and notebook he had discovered the day before. He slipped them into his backpack and clipped Max's leash. The two of them walked toward the junk lot, their steps full of purpose. The town seemed quiet in the morning light, with birds singing and the gentle rustle of leaves in the breeze. When Tom reached the junk lot, he stopped at the entrance, taking a deep breath. The lot looked the same as yesterday. Old cars stacked like mountains, piles of scrap metal and broken furniture scattered everywhere. But now, with the notebook in his hand and Max by his side, the place seemed alive with possibility. Max barked once and ran ahead, sniffing the ground. Tom followed him carefully. He remembered the notebook's drawings and numbers. They seemed to point to different areas of the lot, and he decided to explore the corners that he had not examined closely yesterday. Max led the way toward a cluster of old car parts near the back fence. Max stopped suddenly in front of a rusted old van. He sniffed at the ground and barked softly, then pawed at a spot near one of the van's tires. Tom knelt beside him and brushed away the leaves and dirt. Beneath the soil, he found a small metal latch sticking out of the ground. Tom's heart beat faster. "You found something, Max," he said, smiling. With careful hands, Tom lifted the latch and discovered a hidden compartment beneath the dirt. Inside was a small chest, similar to the one he had found in the shed. It was old, but the lock was surprisingly strong and intact. Tom opened it slowly, holding his breath. Inside the chest were several old papers, carefully folded, and a small envelope sealed with a wax mark. Tom took out the papers and studied them. The documents seemed to be records listing names, dates, and strange symbols that matched some of the markings in the notebook. The envelope contained a single key and a small note written in faded ink. Tom read the note aloud, his voice trembling with curiosity. It said, "To the one who finds this, follow Max's guidance. Trust him and you will discover what has been hidden for years." Tom looked at Max, whose tail wagged happily. It seemed incredible, but the note made one thing clear. Max was more than just a dog in this journey. His instincts were guiding them to something important. Tom felt a mixture of excitement and disbelief. How could a junk lot hold so many secrets? How could Max, a small dog, know what to find? He decided to follow the notebook's instructions. The first step seemed to point toward the center of the lot, where a large pile of old tires and scrap metal formed a small hill. Tom climbed carefully, holding Max's leash in one hand and the notebook in the other. Max ran ahead and sniffed the top of the pile, then barked to signal that he had found something. Tom followed him and discovered another hidden compartment beneath the pile. This one was bigger than the last, and it contained old tools, maps, and a dusty metal container sealed tightly. The maps were drawn with incredible detail, showing parts of the junk lot as well as areas outside the property. Tom noticed symbols that matched the ones in the notebook in the first chest. Hours passed as Tom carefully examined each item. Max stayed close, occasionally sniffing the air, or running to another spot to check for clues. Tom realized that the junk lot was not just a place full of old metal. It was a carefully organized puzzle, left by someone who wanted these secrets to be discovered only by someone who paid attention and had patience. As Tom studied the maps, he noticed one area marked with a strange symbol he had not seen before. It seemed to point toward an old water tank near the edge of the property. Tom packed some of the papers and maps into his backpack, deciding to investigate the tank before leaving. Max ran ahead, excited to explore again. When they reached the tank, Tom noticed a small hatch at the bottom, hidden by grass and debris. Max barked, pawing at the ground near the hatch. Tom knelt down and brushed the dirt away, revealing a rusty lock. He tried the key from the envelope and, to his surprise, it fit perfectly. With a twist, the lock opened and Tom lifted the hatch carefully. Inside was a small underground compartment. Tom shone his flashlight inside and saw boxes stacked neatly. He pulled them out one by one and opened them. To his amazement, the boxes were full of gold coins, precious gems, and old documents that seemed extremely valuable. Tom could hardly believe his eyes. Max barked happily, jumping around the treasure. Tom realized that the junk lot, which seemed worthless at first, had been hiding incredible wealth for years. Someone had gone to great lengths to protect it, leaving clues and relying on Max's instincts to guide the finder. Tom's heart raced as he thought about what this meant. He had never imagined that his quiet life could change so dramatically. He spent the rest of the day organizing the treasure and examining the documents. Some of the papers seemed to explain the history of the items, showing that they had belonged to a wealthy family who had hidden their fortune during difficult times. Tom read carefully, understanding that this discovery could make him one of the wealthiest people in the town. But he felt a deep sense of responsibility. Tom also thought about the people in Willow Creek. He did not want to become greedy or careless. He knew that such a treasure could attract unwanted attention, and he needed a plan to protect it. Max, sensing his thoughts, stayed close, nudging him gently as if to remind him that they were in this together. That evening, Tom returned home, carrying some of the smaller treasures with him. Max ran happily beside him, tail wagging. Tom placed the items on his table and looked at Max with a smile. "We did it, Max. This is just the beginning. Tomorrow we will go back and explore more. I feel like the lot has even more secrets to show us." Tom could not sleep that night. His mind was full of possibilities, plans, and questions. How had this treasure been hidden for so long? Who had left all the clues? And most importantly, what other secrets were waiting in the junk lot? Max slept soundly beside him, but Tom stayed awake thinking about the adventure that had just begun. By the time morning came, Tom had made a decision. He would return to the junk lot with careful planning. He would follow the notebook, trust Max, and explore every corner. The discovery of the treasure had changed his life, but it had also given him a sense of purpose. This was not just about money. It was about understanding the mystery that had been hidden in plain sight. Tom packed his backpack with maps, the notebook, and supplies for a long day at the lot. Max barked happily, ready for the adventure. Together they walked toward the junk lot, unaware that this journey would soon lead them to a secret worth millions. A secret that could change not only their lives but the entire town of Willow Creek. For Tom and Max, the ordinary junk lot had become a place of wonder and excitement. Every corner held a clue, every pile of scrap hid a possibility, and every bark from Max guided them toward discoveries beyond their imagination. The treasure was just the beginning. The real adventure had only just begun. The sun rose slowly over Willow Creek, and Tom felt a mix of excitement and determination as he prepared for another day at the junk lot. Max wagged his tail energetically, sensing that today might bring a new discovery. Tom packed a backpack with the maps, Notebook, flashlight, gloves, and some water, knowing that they might spend hours exploring. When they reached the junk lot, the place looked the same at first glance. Old cars stacked high, rusted appliances leaning against each other, and piles of metal scattered everywhere. But Tom now saw the lot differently. Every corner, every pile of scrap could hide something valuable. Max ran ahead, sniffing and exploring with purpose. Tom decided to follow the maps from the chest they had found yesterday. One of the drawings seemed to show a specific area near the back of the lot, close to a line of tall trees that marked the property boundary. Max ran straight toward the trees, barking and sniffing at something hidden among the roots. Tom hurried after him and found Max pawing at a pile of old wooden crates. He moved the crates aside and noticed a small trapdoor partially covered by dirt and leaves. Tom's heart raced. The notebooks and maps had led them here, but he had not expected a hidden door underground. He pushed aside the debris and pulled open the trapdoor. A narrow passage appeared, descending into darkness. Tom shone his flashlight inside, and the beam revealed stone walls and a small staircase leading downward. Max barked as if encouraging him to go inside. Tom hesitated for a moment, then took a deep breath. "All right, Max, let's see where this goes," he said, stepping carefully into the passage with Max close behind. The staircase was narrow and dusty, but it seemed strong. Tom noticed that the walls were old but well built, with markings etched into the stones. Some of the symbols matched those in the notebook and the maps. The passage smelled of earth and wood, and the air was cool compared to the warm sunlight outside. Tom felt a sense of wonder. This was no ordinary junk lot. It was hiding a secret that someone had carefully protected for decades. After a few minutes of walking, the staircase opened into a larger chamber. Tom shone his flashlight around and Max sniffed every corner. The chamber was filled with old crates, chests, and containers. Some of them were broken, but many remained intact. Tom noticed a table in the center with papers, maps, and tools neatly arranged. He carefully approached the table and examined the documents. They appeared to be records of valuable items, including descriptions, numbers, and locations. Some of the documents were old and faded, but others were surprisingly well preserved. Tom realized that the previous owner had planned for someone to find these treasures and understand their value. Max suddenly barked near one corner of the chamber. Tom followed him and found a small chest hidden under a pile of cloth. He opened it and found a collection of gold coins, rare gemstones, and small jewelry pieces. Tom's eyes widened. The treasure was much larger than he had imagined. Max barked again, almost as if he was proud of the discovery. Tom spent hours exploring the chamber, organizing the contents and comparing the items with the maps and notes. He realized that the hidden passage led to a storage place where the previous owner had kept the most valuable items safe. The organization and care suggested that the treasure was not just for collecting. It was meant to be found by someone who could understand its significance. As he examined a stack of maps, Tom noticed one map that stood out. It showed a section of the junk lot that they had not explored yet. There was a symbol marking a location near the edge of the lot behind a large stack of rusted cars. Tom felt a rush of excitement. This could be the final clue that led to the biggest secret of all. He packed the treasure he had found so far into his backpack and prepared to leave the chamber. Max ran ahead, ready to guide him to the next spot. Tom carefully climbed the staircase and emerged into the sunlight. The lot looked ordinary again, but he knew that more secrets were waiting to be discovered. Tom followed Max toward the marked area on the map. They walked past old cars, broken furniture, and piles of metal until they reached the edge of the lot. Max barked and ran to a spot beneath a stack of rusted cars. Tom pushed the cars aside and noticed a small opening in the ground. It was covered by old wooden boards and dirt, but the outline of a hatch was visible. With Max by his side, Tom removed the boards and lifted the hatch. Below was another passage, smaller than the previous one, but clearly leading somewhere. Tom's heart raced. He carefully climbed down, flashlight in hand, and followed the narrow corridor. Max ran ahead, sniffing and guiding him through the darkness. After a few minutes, the passage opened into a large underground room. Tom could hardly believe his eyes. The room was filled with crates, chests, and containers stacked neatly from floor to ceiling. Sunlight from outside did not reach here, so everything looked quiet and still, but the air smelled of earth and old wood. Max sniffed around excitedly, barking as if he had found the most important spot yet. Tom approached one of the largest chests. It was reinforced with metal and had a heavy lock. He remembered the key from the envelope in the first chest and tried it carefully. To his amazement, the key fit perfectly. He opened the chest slowly and saw piles of gold coins, jewelry, and valuable documents. Some of the coins were stamped with old designs, rare and collectible. The jewelry was carefully wrapped, and the documents detailed the history of the treasure, showing how it had been hidden to protect it from thieves in uncertain times. Tom realized the significance of the discovery. This was not just a collection of old items. It was a carefully protected fortune. The maps, the notes, and Max's guidance had all led him to this place. He felt a deep sense of gratitude and excitement. Life that had once been simple and quiet was now filled with adventure, mystery, and opportunity. He carefully packed some of the smaller items into his backpack, planning to take them home and study them further. Max stayed close, nudging him and wagging his tail happily. Tom felt that Max had played an important role in this discovery. Without his dog's instincts and guidance, they might never have found the hidden passage or the treasure inside. Hours passed as Tom explored the underground room. He examined the crates, studied the documents, and organized the items. Every piece of treasure told a story, and every symbol on the maps revealed a careful plan left behind by someone who wanted to protect these secrets. Tom realized that the junk lot, which had seemed worthless at first, was actually one of the most important discoveries he could imagine. As the sun began to set, Tom prepared to leave the underground room. He carefully closed the chests, making sure everything was safe, and climbed back to the surface. Max ran ahead, happy to be back in the sunlight. Tom looked around the lot, now understanding that every pile of scrap, every rusted car, and every hidden corner held clues to an incredible story. That night, Tom and Max returned home. Tom placed the items he had collected on his table and examined them carefully. He realized that the treasure was worth far more than he had imagined. The gold, jewelry, and documents were part of a fortune that had been hidden for decades, and the discovery was just the beginning. Tom could not sleep that night. His mind was full of questions and plans. How had this treasure remained hidden for so long? Who had left these clues and why? And most importantly, what other secrets were still waiting to be discovered in the junk lot? Max slept quietly beside him, but Tom stayed awake, thinking about the adventure that lay ahead. By morning, Tom knew he had to return to the junk lot. The hidden passage, the underground room, and the treasure had changed everything. He felt a sense of responsibility and excitement. He was no longer just a simple hiker. He was the discoverer of a secret that could change his life and the lives of people in Willow Creek. Max barked happily as Tom prepared for the day. Together, they walked toward the junk lot, ready to continue the adventure. Tom felt that more secrets were waiting, more discoveries to be made, and more mysteries to solve. The junk lot had transformed from a pile of scrap into a place of wonder, treasure, and excitement. For Tom and Max, the real journey had only just begun. The morning sun painted the small town of Willow Creek in soft gold as Tom prepared for another trip to the junk lot. Max was already at the door, wagging his tail eagerly, ready for the adventure. Tom felt a mix of excitement and determination. The previous days had revealed incredible treasures and hidden passages, but he sensed that the biggest secret was still waiting. Tom packed the backpack with the maps, notebook, flashlight, gloves, and some water. He included a few small treasures they had discovered earlier, intending to examine them further later. Max barked happily as Tom clipped on his leash, as if understanding the importance of the day. Together, they walked toward the junk lot, stepping carefully over uneven ground and piles of debris. When they arrived, Tom paused to look at the lot. From the outside, it looked ordinary, but he now saw the hidden potential in every corner. Every rusted car, broken appliance, and heap of scrap metal might hide a clue, a passage, or another treasure. Max ran ahead, sniffing the ground with excitement and purpose. Tom followed, keeping a close eye on his loyal companion. The first destination was the edge of the lot, where they had found the underground chamber the day before. The hatch was still in place, and Tom lifted it carefully. He climbed down into the familiar passage with Max close behind, and they entered the underground room filled with crates and chests. Tom's eyes scanned the room, noting that everything remained neatly stacked and organized. The previous discoveries had been incredible, but the notebook hinted at a final clue hidden somewhere within the lot. Tom examined the maps and notes again, focusing on a particular page he had not fully explored. It showed a symbol near the center of the underground room, marked with an unusual shape. The notebook indicated that this spot held the final key, though it was unclear what it opened. Tom felt a surge of curiosity. Max sniffed the air, barking softly as if encouraging Tom to begin the search. They moved through the room carefully, examining every chest and crate. Most of the items had already been discovered, but Tom noticed that one crate in the far corner looked slightly different. Its wood was newer than the others, and it seemed heavier. Max ran to the crate, sniffing the edges and pawing at the surface. Tom knelt beside him and examined the crate carefully. There was a small hidden compartment on the side, sealed with an old lock. Tom smiled, realizing this was likely the final clue mentioned in the notebook. He took the key from the first envelope they had found and tried it. To his surprise, the key fit perfectly. With careful hands, he opened the compartment and found a small metal box inside. It was heavy, solid, and clearly contained something very important. Tom lifted the box out and opened it slowly. Inside, he found several envelopes, each labeled with a different date. Alongside the envelopes was a folded letter, written in elegant handwriting. Tom read the letter aloud. To the one who has discovered these treasures, you have shown patience, courage, and trust in your companion. The envelopes you see contain the final information needed to access the full treasure. Each envelope contains a code, a map, and instructions to uncover the secret stored for generations. Follow the maps carefully and you will find the ultimate reward. Tom felt a thrill of excitement. Max barked happily, wagging his tail as if he understood the importance of the moment. The final clue was not just a piece of treasure. It was a set of instructions leading to something even more extraordinary. Tom realized that their journey was almost complete, but the last step would reveal the greatest secret of all. He carefully opened the first envelope. Inside was a small map showing a location deep within the lot, marked with a large X. The map included instructions for clearing debris, following hidden markers, and using Max's instincts to find the exact spot. Tom realized that this final location had been carefully prepared to remain hidden until someone trustworthy, patient, and clever discovered it. Tom and Max followed the map through the underground passage and back up to the surface. The lot looked ordinary again, but Tom noticed subtle hints that matched the map. An old tree with a carved symbol, a stack of rusted cars arranged in a specific order, and a patch of ground that looked slightly disturbed. Max sniffed each clue and barked when they were on the right path. After carefully moving debris and following the instructions, Tom arrived at the location marked on the map. It was a small hidden chamber beneath a pile of scrap metal. He cleared the area with care, making sure not to damage anything. Max pawed at the ground, digging slightly, and barked happily as if signaling that they were very close. Tom knelt and removed a rusted metal plate covering a hatch. Beneath it was a small staircase leading down into darkness. He took a deep breath and climbed down with Max close behind. The passage opened into a large underground room, filled with light reflecting off metal surfaces. Tom's eyes widened in amazement. The room contained hundreds of crates, chests, and containers, all carefully stacked and labeled. Tom recognized some of the items from previous discoveries, but this room was different. In the center of the room was a large vault, reinforced with steel and marked with the symbol he had seen in the notebook. This was the final destination, the place where the ultimate secret was stored. Tom approached the vault with Max by his side. He carefully examined the lock and tried the key from the first box. It fit perfectly. With steady hands, he turned the key and the vault door opened slowly, revealing its contents. Tom's eyes widened as he looked inside. The room was filled with gold, jewels, rare artifacts, and documents detailing the full history of the treasure. The value was staggering. He realized the full scope of what he had discovered. The junk lot, which had seemed worthless at first, contained a secret fortune worth millions. The previous owner had hidden the wealth carefully, leaving clues, maps, and instructions for someone patient and clever to find. Max barked excitedly, running through the vault as if celebrating their success. Tom spent hours examining the vault's contents. He carefully studied the documents, maps, and treasures, understanding how the fortune had been accumulated, protected, and finally left for him to discover. Every item had a story, every symbol had meaning, and every clue had led them to this incredible moment. By evening, Tom had packed a few smaller treasures to bring home safely. Max stayed close, wagging his tail, as they climbed back up the staircase and emerged into the sunlight. Tom looked at the junk lot with a new sense of appreciation. It was no longer a pile of scrap. It was a place of wonder, history, and incredible value. Tom realized that the journey had changed him. He had started as a simple hiker, living a quiet life. But the discovery of the treasure and the final clue had transformed everything. He felt a sense of responsibility to protect the wealth, understand its history, and use it wisely. Max had played an essential role, guiding him and uncovering clues that he could not have found alone. That night, Tom could not sleep. His mind was full of plans, ideas, and excitement. He thought about how the treasure could change his life, the lives of people in Willow Creek, and the story that had been hidden for generations. Max slept quietly beside him, but Tom stayed awake, imagining the possibilities and the adventure that had led them to the final clue. By morning, Tom knew exactly what he had to do. He would continue exploring the lot carefully, studying the remaining documents and planning how to use the treasure responsibly. He had discovered the final clue, and now he had access to the full secret hidden beneath the junk lot. For Tom and Max, the adventure was reaching its peak, and the true value of their discovery was about to be revealed. Tom smiled at Max, who wagged his tail happily. "We did it, Max," Tom said softly. "We found the final clue. Now it's time to see the full secret and understand what it all means." Max barked in agreement, ready for the next step of their journey. The junk lot, once a place of rust and debris, had become a treasure trove, a place of mystery, and the setting for an adventure that would change their lives forever. Tom and Max had solved the puzzle, followed the clues, and uncovered the fortune hidden for decades. Now, nothing could stop them from discovering the ultimate secret. The morning sun glowed warmly over Willow Creek, and Tom felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. Today was the day he would finally uncover the full secret hidden in the junk lot. Max barked happily at the door, sensing Tom's anticipation. Tom packed the backpack carefully, including the notebook, maps, gloves, flashlight, and a few small treasures from their previous discoveries. Max wagged his tail, ready for the adventure ahead. As they reached the junk lot, Tom looked around with a sense of awe. What had once seemed like a pile of scrap metal and old furniture now held secrets, treasures, and mysteries beyond his imagination. Every pile, every rusted car, and every hidden corner had a story to tell. Max ran ahead, sniffing the ground and occasionally barking, guiding Tom toward the areas they had not yet explored. Tom followed Max carefully, walking toward the spot marked on the final map from the envelopes. This location was at the far corner of the lot, behind a stack of old vehicles and broken machinery. Max barked and pawed at the ground, indicating that something was buried beneath. Tom knelt beside him and began clearing away debris. The earth felt firm under his hands, and soon he uncovered a large metal hatch hidden beneath dirt and rusted parts. Tom took a deep breath and lifted the hatch. Beneath it was a narrow staircase leading down into darkness. Max barked excitedly, and Tom felt his pulse quicken. They descended carefully, the flashlight illuminating the stone walls and dusty steps. The air grew cooler as they went deeper, carrying the scent of earth and wood. Tom could hardly believe what lay ahead. At the bottom of the staircase, Tom and Max entered a large underground chamber. The room was immense, with high ceilings and walls lined with shelves, crates, and chests. The light from Tom's flashlight reflected off gold and metal surfaces, revealing treasures beyond his imagination. Max sniffed every corner, barking happily at each discovery. Tom approached the center of the chamber and saw a massive vault. Its steel doors were reinforced, and a large combination lock secured it tightly. According to the notebook, this vault held the final treasure, the $50 million secret that had been carefully hidden for decades. Tom's hands shook slightly as he read the final instructions from the envelope. The code for the combination lock was hidden in the markings on the walls, matching the symbols from the maps and the notebook. Tom studied the symbols carefully. Max sat close, tail wagging, as if he understood the importance of the moment. Using the clues, Tom entered the code into the combination lock. With a click, the lock opened and the massive doors creaked as they swung wide. Inside, Tom could see stacks of gold coins, rare gemstones, jewelry, and documents detailing the history of the fortune. The treasure was beyond anything he had imagined. Tom stepped inside the vault, feeling a mixture of awe and gratitude. Every piece of treasure had a story, Every document explained the careful planning that had gone into hiding it, and every map and clue had led them to this incredible moment. Max ran around happily, sniffing and exploring as if celebrating their success. Tom carefully examined the contents of the vault. The gold coins were stamped with old designs, rare and collectible. The gemstones sparkled in the light, each one unique. The jewelry was carefully wrapped, and the documents revealed that the fortune had been hidden to protect it from uncertain times. Tom realized that this treasure was not just money. It was history, heritage, and a story waiting to be shared responsibly. Hours passed as Tom organized the vault's contents. He took careful notes, studied the documents, and arranged the treasure in neat sections. He understood that the full $50 million fortune was now within his reach, but he also felt a strong responsibility. This discovery was not only about wealth, it was about preserving history, protecting the treasure, and using it wisely. Max stayed close, occasionally nudging Tom, reminding him that they had worked together to reach this point. By late afternoon, Tom had packed a few smaller items to take home for further study. He looked at Max and smiled. "We did it, Max. This is the secret, the treasure, and the reward. Everything the notebook and maps promised has been found." Max barked happily, tail wagging as if celebrating their achievement. Tom climbed back up the staircase, closing the hatch behind him. The junk lot now looked ordinary to anyone who passed by, but Tom knew the truth. Beneath the rusted cars, broken furniture, and piles of scrap metal, a fortune had been hidden for decades, waiting for someone patient, clever, and trustworthy to uncover it. Max ran ahead, leading Tom back to the entrance as if marking the path they had successfully followed. At home, Tom carefully examined the smaller treasures he had brought back. He studied the gold coins, gemstones, and jewelry, verifying their value and learning about their history. The documents detailed how the fortune had been hidden and why, explaining that it had been protected carefully to prevent it from being lost or stolen. Tom realized that his life had changed completely. He thought about the people of Willow Creek and the responsibility he now carried. He knew he could use some of the fortune to improve his life and help the town, but he also understood the importance of discretion. Such a treasure could attract unwanted attention, and he needed a plan to keep it safe while using it wisely. Max lay beside him, resting after the excitement of the day. Tom patted him on the head. "We found it together, Max. This is our secret for now, and we will protect it." Over the next few days, Tom carefully returned to the junk lot to ensure everything was secure. He documented every discovery, organized the remaining treasures, and kept the vault safe. Each day, he learned more about the fortune and the history behind it. The maps, the notebooks, and the hidden passages all made sense now, revealing the careful planning that had protected the $50 million secret for generations. Tom also realized how much Max had contributed. Without his dog's instincts and guidance, they might never have found the hidden compartments, the underground rooms, or the vault. Max had been more than a companion. He had been a guide, a helper, and a friend who led Tom through every step of the adventure. Tom smiled, grateful for his loyal companion. As the sun set over Willow Creek, Tom reflected on how much his life had changed in just a few days. From a simple hiker living quietly in a small cabin, he had become the discoverer of one of the most remarkable secrets in the town's history. The junk lot, once a place of rust and debris, had become a symbol of mystery, adventure, and incredible fortune. Tom knew that this discovery was not just about wealth, it was about adventure, patience, and trust. It had taught him that even the simplest places could hold extraordinary secrets, and even the smallest companions could lead to the greatest discoveries. Max wagged his tail beside him, sensing Tom's thoughts and sharing in the joy of their journey. In the following weeks, Tom carefully planned how to use the fortune. He decided to improve his cabin, support local projects, and keep a portion of the treasure safe for future generations. He also continued exploring the junk lot, understanding that its history and secrets were part of a larger story that deserved respect and care. Tom smiled as he watched Max play near the lot. Together, they had uncovered the $50 million secret, solved the mystery, and found treasures beyond their imagination. But the true reward was not just the gold or jewels. It was the adventure, the lessons, and the bond between a man and his dog who had trusted each other and discovered something extraordinary together. Life in Willow Creek returned to a peaceful rhythm, but Tom knew that the junk lot would always hold stories and secrets. Max stayed by his side, always ready for the next adventure. Tom felt a sense of satisfaction and happiness he had never experienced before. He had discovered a fortune, but he had also discovered courage, patience, and the joy of exploring the unknown. The $50 million secret was safe. The adventure had been completed, and Tom and Max had proven that curiosity, trust, and determination could uncover even the greatest mysteries. The junk lot, once a place of waste, had become the setting for an unforgettable journey, a treasure hunt that would be remembered for generations. Tom looked at Max, smiling. "We did it, Max. This is our story, our secret, and our adventure. Nothing will ever be the same again." Max barked happily, running in circles as if celebrating their incredible achievement. Together, they had turned a simple junk lot into a world of wonder, fortune, and endless possibilities. The adventure was complete. The 50 million secret revealed, and Tom knew that his life had changed forever. With Max by his side, every day could now hold the possibility of new discoveries, new adventures, and new treasures. The junk lot had given him more than wealth. It had given him excitement, purpose, and a story worth sharing.